Everybody, and welcome back to the iTunes Fanboy Podcast. In this episode, I am Teddy from the iTunes Fanboy, joined with Tabbycat406, otherwise known as Tabby Pairs.
Hi.
And unfortunately, Alpha DeWolf from the Random Alpha Gadgets is not here with us today because he is on a business trip at the time of recording this. And in case you're wondering why the editing is going to be different, it's because Alpha isn't in this one. I'll be the one editing this, so...
At least that's what he thought. Nope, I'm still editing this, but, well, again, I'm not present during this recording, so none of me is going to be featured in this other than the fact that I'm letting you know, nope, I'm editing this episode.
Alright, so without further ado, let's get into the first subject on my list, which is the Apple is actually testing out touchscreen Macs.
I think that... See, when macOS, what was it, 11, right? When they redesigned it, the Big Sur redesign, it was made for touchscreens. You know, you can tell, obviously. Go into the control center on any new Mac, you know, it's obvious. It's made for touchscreens. And if you look at the System Settings app, it's touchscreen. Yeah, so as much as I think it's... As much as I don't want to believe that touchscreen Macs are coming, unfortunately, they probably are. Now, if I were Apple, I would probably just make some sort of an iOS-like interface for touchscreen and the macOS interface for using, you know, the desktop. And also, if you look at a Stage Manager, that is a completely useless feature on macOS, but they added it on macOS for whatever reasons. So.
My mom actually uses Stage feature on her MacBook Pro because she likes being able to see windows for multiple Word documents without having to manually go into Mission Control.
Yeah, that makes a bit of sense. You know, for me, it's like it just makes it's just so much more easier to Command Tab through all my windows, and that's pretty much how I use my Mac.
Yeah, I don't even know how to activate Stage Manager on my Mac.
I don't know. On mine, it's just in the control center. I don't know if Intel Macs have it or what, but...
Yep, my 2019 MacBook Pro does have it.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
I've never used it, so it's still giving me the tutorial for Stage Manager.
Yeah, Stage Manager, actually, I think it's a bit gimmicky on one hand, but now that I'm actually using it, I think it is decent.
Makes more sense on an iPad, I guess.
I think it's pretty useless on an iPad because iPad screens, even the largest iPad, is only 12.9 inches, and who uses their iPad with an external monitor?
I've actually been wanting to try that out recently because I do have the Studio Display, so I would be able to just plug into USB-C and I guess use it.
You can do that, however, my point is that on an iPad you don't get a whole lot of benefit out of a second display versus just using a Mac.
Yeah, for sure.
Because at the same time, I feel that an iPad is meant to be more compact and not have as much equipment to go along with it, which is why I don't even dock my laptop onto a desktop setup.
Yeah, my laptop, see, you know, I don't have a desktop really. Well, I have a Windows desktop, but I hate Windows still. But my Mac, it's docked into this setup, and I've been using it like this with the dock for about 3 months now, and it's been just fine for the most part.
Yeah, laptop docks, I think that they simplify the connections a lot, and even the YouTuber Technology Connections actually made a video on that almost 3 years ago now, back when they were just starting to become a thing.
Yeah, mine, you know, just makes everything a lot easier, for me at least.
I don't personally find that I would benefit much from a laptop dock, especially considering I barely have enough room to get and purpose to get a mod or external keyboard and an external mouse when I can just use my laptop with all those things.
Yeah.
Well, except for the trackpad on my MacBook, I actually really like to use the trackpad on my MacBook.
Yeah, a few years ago I got a Magic Trackpad 3. Or no, Magic Trackpad 2. Yeah, it's like a Magic Trackpad 2, I think. And it works great, with the only issue being if I have like more than 2 Bluetooth devices connected at a time to my Mac, the entire thing it doesn't it either loses connection or it just doesn't know which device to connect to, and everything gets super laggy. Yeah, so I guess that's just one of the issues that you get whenever you have whenever you use Bluetooth.
Yeah. Yeah, my dad absolutely despises Bluetooth.
Yeah, like I like my MX Anywhere 3 a lot. I think it's a really nice and
I think it is a good mouse too. However, I just don't have much purpose for it to where I probably won't because I never sell anything, but I'm even considering maybe selling this mouse because of how little I use it.
I see.
Yeah, I guess if I have it right by me, I guess I could use it now.
Yeah. Yeah, like I use mine a lot because I pretty much always use my Mac in docked mode.
Yeah. Alright, well on the bright side of things, the iPhone 15 Pro and the 15 Ultra are going to have 8 gigabytes of RAM.
Well, that's good.
I know how little RAM you think. I know how you hate the amount of the low RAM in iPhones.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying how my iPhone sometimes just runs out of RAM and I'm just kind of screwed.
Yes, because it's not like people don't multitask on their phones.
Yeah.
People do more multitasking on a phone. People use their phones as their computers now in many ways, and so phones should have computer level RAM.
Yeah, because 6 gigabytes, you could have got a 6 gigabyte computer and, 6 gigs of RAM on a computer in like 2004 if you paid a lot of money.
Yes, and even my white 2009 MacBook, its maximum amount of RAM is 6 gigabytes. Yeah, I know the late 2008 aluminum MacBook also goes to 6 gigabytes alongside the 2006 MacBook Pro.
Yeah, to me it just it just doesn't make sense why, iPhones are just limited to 8 gigs of RAM. But on the RAM note, the iPhone 14, it is kind of useless, but I did learn recently it has 6 gigs of RAM instead of 4. So that kind of gives more of an incentive to buy an iPhone 14 over a 13.
Yes, I mean, I still don't think calling the 14 and 13 the same phone is quite just, because the 14 and 14 Plus still do have a lot of advantages up their sleeve. However,
it's like 4 different things, like they have off what I can remember, satellite connectivity.
Yeah. Action mode.
Better cameras, different colors, and
that are uglier.
Yeah, like I like the blue color.
I hate the blue 13s look so much better than the blue 14s.
I like both the blue 13s and the blue 14s a lot, actually. I was a very big fan of Sierra Blue. I think that is Apple's best color they've ever made.
I think Sierra Blue looks nice, so I think Pacific Blue... I used to hate Pacific Blue because of how it looked on Apple's website years ago, but now that I've gotten the opportunity to see it more on YouTube videos and whatnot, I've grown to really love the color. As I was just watching Apple Maniac YT's YouTube video about his review of his mom's iPhone 12 Pro that he showed in the video in Sierra Blue, and wow, it was really nice. Why would I go subscribe to Apple Maniac YT? He's been on this podcast twice.
Yeah, I really liked the look of Pacific blue
Oh, so do
in
I.
photos. But then I got the phone, and immediately it's like, okay, this color is going to get old. I should have returned the phone and bought like a gold 12 Pro Max, but I kept that stupid Pacific blue 12 Pro for like another few months, and I hated that phone. That was, well, I didn't hate it. It was just, it's not a phone that I would ever come back to. Nothing in the 12 series lineup I would ever want to come back to. And I don't know why people love the 12 so much when, the 13 beats the 12 in pretty much every single category. And the 13 Pro is just so much unbelievably better than the 12 Pro. You get ProMotion, you get way better cameras. The display gets so much brighter. The battery life lasts longer. The battery health lasts longer. The whole entire phone is just what the 12 should have been. And the 14, I just couldn't really care to use it. Like, I'm still using it, but I'm just waiting for the 15 to come out.
Yeah, I really like my 14 Pro, and I think it's a great phone, though. Though, again, I don't upgrade iPhones every year, so I think it's pretty cool just to have the newest iPhone, and I probably won't be upgrading to the 15 series, next year, though, again. Maybe I will.
If you can get like a trade-in promo, like a promotional trade-in, then I'd say, if it's $200 or $300 to upgrade, absolutely go for an upgrade. Because
however,
for $300, that's just a steal.
Yeah, I have to look into that as I don't really like to give up my phones, especially because I know I'll probably be looking for them on eBay once they get cheap.
Yeah, for me, I've been trading up my iPhones for years.
Yeah.
And the 13 Pro I actually missed a lot, especially in the first few weeks of me having the 14 Pro, because at first I couldn't stand the 14 Pro after about a week of using it. No, it was like 3 days after using it. But then iOS 16.1 or whatever, 16.0 point something, I think, made this phone actually really nice to use. 16.2, they just screwed it up. I'm waiting for 16.3 to come out. Can't wait.
I don't blame you. At least, hopefully iOS 16.3.1, if that releases, is never going to be as unstable as iOS 15.3.1.
Oh yeah, I'm not upgrading to that no matter what I do. I hated 15.3.1. What's your 14 Pro on?
My 14 Pro is on 16.0.2.
Oh, so that's actually pretty early.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly, that was actually the firmware that gave me a lot of issues.
Yeah, it really hasn't given me any issues.
Well, that's good.
On the third topic, OLED 11.1 inches and 13-inch iPad Pros are going to be coming in 2024.
That's going to be cool.
Yeah, it'll be nice to see a screen increase. And finally, OLED iPads. And, of course...
Hopefully bending isn't an issue, because if that is, then you already know how fragile OLEDs are. Unless it's one of those flexible OLED panels, which... those are just... I've never really had a good experience with those.
Oh, speaking of flexible OLEDs, and there's going to be one on an iPhone in 2025.
Are they making that foldable iPhone?
Supposedly it's coming out in 2025, though. That alongside Apple's mixed reality headset, which is supposedly delayed until the fourth quarter, until the third of the year, from September to December of 2023. Those projects have just been announced and pushed back and rumored for so many years at this point that I don't think they'll ever get released.
I'm sure it will get released at some point. I'm not really excited for the foldable iPhone, because foldables I had a Galaxy Z Flip or whatever, and it just made no sense to me. And I also had a Oculus Quest 2 or whatever it's called, and it's more of a gimmick, honestly.
Yeah, a lot of my classmates actually really love VR. However, I'm sure I would like the effect of VR if I tried it, though. Once I got in, though, I don't see a lot of benefit to VR outside of gaming, which is not Apple's field, as we all know.
Yeah.
And even in gaming, I don't see a lot of use to VR because who's gonna want to go prancing? Because you're gonna bump into stuff constantly if you're in a VR headset.
Yeah, I guess so.
And at least it's not as stupid as Meta trying to market the metaverse and Oculus headsets as great education devices.
Oh, yeah.
But I can only imagine. APR2K said in the video that we collaborated on about the metaverse ads, how imagine a classroom full of 30 kids just falling over. And unfortunately, I can't imagine that, especially because I'd probably be the one bumping into stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty clumsy.
I just never got into VR, really. I had a VR headset for a while. It ended up breaking, and it just doesn't make sense for me to really spend $300. And I can, if Apple makes an AR VR headset, I can just imagine them with all the ads, Apple Arcade this, Apple Arcade that, but Apple Arcade sucks.
Yes.
I had it. It just seems like unfinished indie games.
Yes, I know. It's a whole library of its own games that no one wants to play. And the only people I know who have our Apple Arcade have it because online, by the way, I don't even know anybody in person who has Apple Arcade, is because they have Apple One, and that's Riker Robbins from Tech World and Alpha DeWolf. And Alpha DeWolf doesn't really pay much attention to Apple Arcade, but Riker Robbins' family, who has Apple One, they actually do play Apple Arcade games a lot.
Yeah, if they had something like Call of Duty on Apple Arcade,
maybe
that would make it absolutely worth it.
Because Call of Duty, let's face it, a lot of games like Call of Duty have ads and in-app purchases, have a lot of in-app purchases, and so if they could bring that promise to games like Call of Duty and even Fortnite, though, let's be honest, Epic Games is going to try to cheat their way out of that somehow.
Yeah, Fortnite, I could care less if they come to the App Store. To me at least, it's just a waste of time. I've always thought that game was just kind of bad. Never really.
Yes, because Fortnite, it's like, I don't even know what the mission of Fortnite is.
It's the same exact concept as one of the games I've put a lot of time into, Call of Duty Warzone and Warzone 2, but Fortnite's just like you have building, and it's just all this crap they put into the game that just makes it...
Oh, and you can't even build in Fortnite anymore.
It's just so much nonsense that they do with the game.
They're trying to target it towards 10-year-old kids, and I guess they're working in him.
Oh, I'm sure
which I guess is working, though. Did you hear Epic Games actually had to pay all of their customers, even the kids playing the Fortnite, a whole lot had to refund them because Epic Games was being caught as making fraudulent practices by the U.S. government.
Oh, nice. I bet those kids probably took the money, put it right back into the game.
Of course they did.
Probably
some of them, I'm sure, spent
Fortnite.
it on a... Some of them probably spent it on a... Some of them may have spent it on other things. Or I imagine some kids were forced to give it up to their parents.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Because what Fortnite did, what the government, nah, I'm not going to get into this because the government, Supreme Court that made Fortnite pay, Epic Games pay children, you can tell how they're sort of biased in Fortnite with Epic Games in this case, because Epic Games, because they're realizing they're just going to encourage kids to come back to play Fortnite and then spend more money in the game. But at least it won't be fraudulent anymore.
I just never understood the appeal of Fortnite, to be honest.
No, I never did either. However, we don't have. This is not.
Seemed like a boring game.
Yeah. Yeah, all my classmates are going to desperately disagree with me about this, but.
Without a doubt.
Or some of them will. Some of them probably think it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
However, Apple, speaking of money, if you don't want to pay a lot of money to buy a brand new iPhone SE4 later this year, sorry, you can't do that. Apple canceled. Apple can't internally cancel the project entirely.
That's kind of annoying, to be honest. The SE3 is terrible. I think that is the worst product Apple sells right now.
I think it's actually... Its problem is that it isn't unreliable, but that's outdated in so many ways. It doesn't have MagSafe.
I mean, people say, I love this old design. Give me more 4.7-inch iPhones. Why would somebody want to use a 4.7-inch iPhone? Those things suck. I hate to say it, but those things, I used one for like a week. That thing sucked. That thing was just terrible.
Yes, and my newest 4.7-inch iPhone in my collection, which is my iPhone 8, its battery life is garbage, though again, that could just be being an old phone, but still, its battery life is garbage. Its screen, I do like the smaller, more compact size of it, though. Luckily, if my iPhone 14 Pro it isn't much bigger, and it's all screen, and it's got a much bigger screen.
The 12 or whatever, the 13 mini, that one's got a smaller form factor than the iPhone 8, but it's got a larger display. It's 5.4 inches, I believe.
Yes.
Which is a bit smaller than like the old 8 Plus and the like.
Only a 1/10 of an inch, though.
Yeah.
But our point is that unfortunately Apple can't make an SE4 because they're struggling so much with their low end iPhones.
Yeah, like it's all because they're giving these old iPhones too much support. I guarantee if they cut off everything below an 11, the SE3 and the 13, the 14, the 12, all of those phones would jump up in sales insanely high.
Yes, because one of my classmates, she actually said that she actually uses an iPhone 8 Plus every day, and she said as her main phone, and she said that she would never go newer than an iPhone 11. But I'll bet you if they started cutting, but I'll bet you if they had the 8 and 8 Plus and the 10 cut off by now, then, and obviously a 10s, 10s Max, and 10R, then iPhone sales would probably skyrocket. And she'd be forced to upgrade.
There's so many people using the XR still.
Oh my grandma still uses one though. She at least is considering a 14. She just doesn't have the money necessarily to put towards a new phone.
Yeah, like the XR. So many people have that phone still, and they'll say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But
that's
not broke. But
that's never a true statement of technology. And the 10R may be about to be broke because now we know Apple is dropping 2 generations of iPhones at once now, and the 8 Plus and 10 are the oldest iPhones being supported. The next generation above that is the 10, 10s, and 10s, 10s Max, and 10R. Excuse me. And so, the 10R may be about to be broken.
Yeah, I'm sure, after I give the XR maybe 3 years, I feel like they're probably going to do another I feel like they're probably going to get rid of the 8 and the X, and then they're probably going to get rid of the the 10R, the XS, and the XS Max separately.
I think they're gonna wait. I think they're gonna unfortunately do the sad thing that they did. I think they're gonna do the same thing, execute this the same way they did with the 7, 6S, 6S Plus, SE1, and 7 and 7 Plus. We're just gonna keep supporting them for at least, let's see, how many years?
Probably another, or with
maybe
software
3
updates.
more. They're gonna keep supporting them for the next 3 years, or now 2.
Yeah, like personally, I don't care what happens because I don't use a 10R, a 10, an XS, or any of that. So
And then they're gonna make them poorly optimized, just like the 7 and 7 Plus, to force people to upgrade that way.
yeah, like people just don't upgrade phones like they used to. It used to be every 2 years you bought a new phone on a contract. But
Yes.
now people are keeping their phones for, 7, 8, 9 years sometimes. There's still people out there using iPhone 6s.
Yeah. Yeah, a
Like,
classmate I was talking about earlier who used an 8 Plus, she mentioned upgrading from previously coming from a 6 sometime, which she upgraded sometime in 2021.
yeah, that, all of those 6s, I don't know how people still use those.
I don't know either.
I don't know if you've actually tried using a 6 or anything recently, but it sucks.
I
The 6 is just, I don't know how people use those.
I have used this. I have used this. I've turned on my 6 in the past 6 recently, though it's just not. Though it's a phone that I would never consider using. If I have enough trouble with my 11 Pro Max and my 8 Plus, I don't think I'm gonna go to a 6.
Yeah, like the 6, that whole phone just seems like those phones have been a mess since they came out.
Yeah, luckily now
And bent.
the old. I'm trying to figure out who I know of the oldest smartphone, and I think it is, and I think the oldest. I think it's an 8. I know some people with 8s. So that's the oldest iPhone I actually know. That kids.
Yeah.
No.
Knew
Wait
a
a minute.
dude
The
who
vice
used
principal
a
at my school
6S.
still uses a 6 or 6S.
I knew a dude that decided to use well, he didn't really have a choice, but he used a 6S in 2022. And he upgraded to an XR, and he hates that thing too.
Who did that?
Big Sam.
No. Well, at least a 10R a 10R is still too old. That's why I escaped. That's why I bought a 14 Pro in the first place. So that way I wouldn't have to wait for my parents to upgrade their phones.
Yeah, it just makes no sense to me how somebody could use like a 6, like an XR or a 10R I can get, because they're pretty solid phones overall.
Yeah, so can I.
Somebody, you can use like a 10 or something if you really wanted to, but I've heard those are pretty slow on iOS 16. My XS Max is actually not that quick on iOS 16 anymore.
Yeah. And I'm beginning to wonder if the iPhone, and yeah, I wonder why Apple is keeping Apple devices supported for so long.
I don't even know what benefit it gives them.
It doesn't give them any benefit. The iPhone 2G and the 3G each got 3 years of support. Do you think that'd still be
Yes.
fair today?
Oh no, if you think of it, today, an iPhone 11 would be considered going obsolete. And I think, to be honest, a lot of people are going to hate me for saying this, but I think that's probably the better way to do it, because it just seems like, we would have a lot less people with broken phones, a lot less people with issues with their phones. Because if you look at something like an XS, or, a 10, or a I guess an 11. A lot of those will have issues. With that said, a lot of them will be good still, but a lot of them will have issues. But
Like
back in,
my 10 has a really deep scratch in the screen, which I can actually show you. So does my
yeah,
8
like
Plus and my
Big
11 Pro
Sam's
Max.
10R has 87% battery health, and he says that thing's battery still lasts, but it's, I use that thing and I'm like, his phone's always at 38%. Every single, time I see it, it's at 38%. I don't know how he keeps it at a steady 38%, but the thing's always at 38%.
Well, yes, the battery does not work well.
He says it lasts about fine, but he is used to a 6S, so
You should.
I
This is the really deep scratch on my 10.
yeah, I have my XS Max has a ton of scratches. That thing is, I don't know what someone did to mess up that thing, but that thing's just got scratches all around the screen. It's got scratches everywhere. I don't know what someone did to that phone.
I don't know either, but I think the best message is that just upgrade your phone.
Yeah, if you can't afford to upgrade, that's fine. You can do trade-ins, because you also got to think of it like this. If phones lasted 3 years, trade-in values and resale values, well, they still wouldn't be they would be a lot worse, but trade-in values specifically, because most of these trade-ins get recycled to build new iPhones, those would probably be the same. So, trading in your iPhone, you'd probably get just about the same as you would right now. And, it would be a lot easier to upgrade if you use trade-in values. And a lot of people would, keep their phone for 2 years, then upgrade. And, carriers always, or most of the time, carriers have trade-in promotions and, just normal upgrade promotions. Contracts used to be a big thing. And
I wish they still were.
contracts were, the carrier could kind of screw you over with contracts, but, a lot of people just think these used iPhones are just the gold. They think they've struck gold because they bought an iPhone 11 for $300 and saved $50 or whatever over buying an SE3, or maybe $100 over buying an SE3, and it's like, the SE3 sucks, but just buy it. It's gonna last longer, And people that are buying these used iPhones, they're probably the kind of people they're gonna wonder why their used iPhones are breaking in 2 years.
It's because they're used iPhones.
Yeah, people blame Apple for all this stuff, but it's, every time I've used an iPhone that's been used, it's had, I've known that it's used. But, with my iPhone, I can put it back in the box, seal it up, give it to Big Sam. He could inspect the whole thing. The only damage you would see on it is scratches near the charging port, and that's normal. When, if I boxed up my iPhone XS Max and I give it to someone, they'll be like, this thing's not new. That thing's been heavily used. Or even my 11 Pro, that thing, it's in pretty good condition, but there's still some scratches on it.
Yes, I'm sure even my 14 Pro has some scratches on it.
Yeah, phones get scratches as they're used, but, I just have always had a better experience with new phones every single time I've had a new phone. Except for maybe my 12 Pro and my XS Max, not this XS Max I have, but my old XS Max. That thing, that phone is a whole mess.
Everybody knows that.
I don't have that. Yeah, I'm very glad I don't have that thing.
And speaking of used technology, my mom is actually planning on buying a used Surface laptop because she has a piece of software that she needs for Windows, and she still has a 2019 MacBook Pro over, and I've told her you can just boot camp it, and she's like, but I don't want it taking up space on my computer. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So she's about to spend around maybe $350 on a used Surface laptop just to run some software that won't even work properly because it's Windows. You can just boot camp her computer for free as long as she has a USB flash drive.
What kind of Mac does your mom have? A 16-inch, right?
A 16-inch 2019 MacBook Pro, yes.
Yeah,
Hers is in space gray, however.
Wow. My old 16-inch MacBook Pro was silver. I like the silver MacBook Pros for the most part.
So do I. The next time I get a new Mac, I'll probably get mine in space gray, though.
Yeah, mine is in space gray because I just wanted something different.
That's why I got my space gray iPad 7th generation. Because I just wanted something different, and that's actually the only iPad I've ever gotten in the darker color that was new.
Yeah, my iPad Pro is also in space gray.
Yeah, I wonder.
One of the things that I've, or you can go on first.
Why is the iPad Pro not in gold, by the way, after it hasn't had a gold one since the 2017?
Yeah, that's something that annoyed me, because
So, same here.
Yeah, because, for me, my iPad's not really an insanely portable device, but for me, most of the time, if it's a device that's not going to be really taken everywhere with me, I'll get probably a larger screen size. But if it is something that's going to be taken everywhere with me, like my cell phone or my Apple Watch, I am getting the smallest screen size that I can. And for the Pro iPhones, that would be 6.1.
Yeah, for me, I prefer to have a smaller phone with me because it's easier to carry, but for Apple Watches, I have to have the larger screen because my fingers are so big that they fit the buttons on, they fit the UI of my Apple Watch perfectly.
Oh, another thing about my Apple Watch, I checked the battery health again, and it's at 88 now.
Oh, yikes. I'm going to check the one on my Apple Watch. It's gone down significantly, too.
Probably like 87 or 85. You know, like my Apple Watch,
Oh, you can go ahead.
I gotta buy I'm just hoping they have a smaller Apple Watch Ultra, because I gotta upgrade late this year. I'm sure the battery health will probably be at like 76 or something by that time, though.
So remember how the Apple Watch on my Series 5 went from 90% in September to 88% pretty quickly?
What's it at now?
91.
It's back up to 91?
Yes. Which you know what that means. That
Maybe
means that the
whenever you
battery on
reset
my
it.
Apple Watch is geeking out.
I mean, yeah. I would love to see mine just go up from 88 to 81 out of thin air, but
91, but yeah,
it's so funny. The device that I'm not going to keep for over a year, which is my phone, that thing, I've got 200 plus charge cycles on, and the battery health isn't degrading. But my Apple Watch, which I wanted to keep for over 2 years, the battery health is degrading so quickly. It's got like 200 something charge cycles, and it's already at 88.
On Alpha DeWolf's Apple Watch Series 7, which he bought back in April or May, it's already down to at least 94%, or at the most 94%.
Not true. Still at 100%. But honestly, I do not care what battery health it's at. I just don't.
Yeah, those are... maybe the Series 7 sucks.
Maybe.
Like,
I'll bet you it
maybe the Series
does.
7 just kind of sucks. Like, I love using the watch, but maybe it's got some battery issues.
It must. Luckily, yeah, some people actually suggested that I buy for a refurbished Apple Watch Series 7, though I'm not going to do that because of you guys' experiences with the batteries And now I'm not
Yeah,
even
like,
entirely sure if I'll buy a new Apple Watch or not because of the thing that happened that I'll explain later on my podcast.
Yeah, what I was gonna recommend you do a few months ago was buy a refurbished Series 7, but now I don't know. I gotta get because see, if it was just me and Alphas, that would be okay. That's a small sample size, but
Again, still not true. 100%. Don't know what they're talking about.
also my friend who's my friend Logan, I showed you his channel, right?
Yeah.
His Apple Watch, he got it in May or something, June. I don't remember. It's already down to 94 too.
Wow.
And that's a Series 7 44 millimeter, 45, whatever the one that's like 2-inch display or whatever. I don't know.
And it will 45 millimeters. And we should ask Elias to see. I'm gonna ask Elias to see what the battery health on his Series 7
is
is.
100 still. He was talking about that a few days ago.
How?
Yeah, but he wants his to go down. I don't know why, but he wants his to go down. And,
I guess it's to prove that the Series 7 sucks.
like, I hope it doesn't, because I've had, other than that, my Series 7's been fine, other than the stupid software problems I've had.
Maybe
I'm sure
Elias's
someone's
Apple Watch is lasting, his battery is lasting longer because no wait, you have the stainless steel model too.
I do. And it's the thing is, he said, like, why don't you just take your watch off charge at middle of the day? It's like, if worse comes to worse, I guess I have to, but, my watch, I want to be able to put it on at 10 a.m., keep it on until midnight, and be at, at least, like, 30% battery. But when I was on vacation and the battery health was still at, like, 94, it was dying. Like, the thing died 100 to 0 when I was on vacation. And that was just bad. Because, it was like, wow, the whole entire watch can't even last a full day. But, right now, I've had the watch, I had to turn it off because I went to get my driver's permit, and I passed, luckily. I got 100% on the test.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I had to turn that off because they don't allow, like, electronic devices in, like, the testing room. So this thing is at 64% right now, and I put it on at, like, 10 a.m. That's not bad. Lately, it's been lasting a little bit longer.
That's good. My Series 5's battery is actually weirdly... It's probably just that I'm used to it now, but its battery life has weirdly gotten better, but its battery life it seems better to me, but in reality it's still pretty bad.
Have you updated it?
Yep.
That could be it. I gotta update mine at some point.
Oh, speaking of do you want to move on to the next topic?
Sure.
BOA is trying to become Apple's OEM manufacturer for iPhone displays for the 8th time.
Wow.
That's well, doesn't BOE know what Apple's gonna say?
I doubt that Apple's gonna. I mean, if Apple said no, like, what?
7 times?
Yeah. I don't know what they expect.
Because BOE, they tried to change the iPhone 14's displays behind Apple's back, which I don't know how they thought they were going to do that.
Well, I don't know what they're trying to do there. Like, I'm glad that we're not sitting here with Apple thinking they're selling us an iPhone with a 120 hertz OLED panel, but really selling us some, 30 hertz TFT LCD with terrible viewing angles and I don't know what they would have done.
As if people
Could you imagine
notice.
like a white 2010 MacBook display, but for an iPhone? Like the viewing angles are so bad.
Yes, my 2010 MacBook Pro, which has about the same display. I can imagine that display on my phone.
Yeah, that was one of my early Apple devices I had. Probably the third Apple device I ever had was a 2010 MacBook Pro. And let me tell you, watching Netflix on that thing, you had to be right straight on watching that thing. Like, you couldn't be anywhere off angle.
Yeah, I don't usually use my Mac. Yeah, I don't really use my 2010 MacBook Pro to you for watching media. Yeah, even back when it was my main computer though.
Yeah, back then, the iPad wasn't really a thing, or the iPad wasn't really going mainstream yet. I had no iPhone because that was, I had no cell server or no cell plan, so I couldn't really get an iPhone. Um, TV was always being occupied, so I pretty much only had the MacBook to use. That was the times were so much different back then.
Yeah, my times back then were that I would either watch on the TV because luckily mine wasn't occupied.
Yeah, I used to have like 3 laptops in the house. We had the MacBook and a Toshiba, and I think there was like an HP or a Compaq. I don't really remember. I wish I still had those though. The MacBook I ended up punching in 2015. It was because it wasn't loading something actually. And then from there, I believe I ripped the display off in 2016, and I believe I ripped the keyboard off in later 2016. So, definitely not my smartest move.
No. And meanwhile, my 2010 MacBook Pro is in such amazing condition for you to buy a MacBook Pro.
I want to get another 2010 at some point. I think it would be really cool to have another 2010.
Yeah, 2010s were very good and solid, but my only problem with my 2010 MacBook Pro was that it never worked when I needed it to. And it always worked. And now it works just fine when I don't need it anymore.
Yeah, tends to be how it is with older computers.
Exactly. However, speaking of Apple Watches, the Apple Watch Ultra 2 is going to have satellite connectivity, or it's rumored
That's
to.
cool.
Yeah,
Hopefully they'll release some smaller Apple Watch Ultra, because that would actually be really cool.
Yeah, hopefully they release an e-ink Apple Watch SE 2 as well, because can you imagine how well that would sell?
They could get an e-ink Apple Watch SE 2, and if they made the price right, $49 to $99, imagine, just having the option to go out and buy an Apple Watch for the same price as like an AirTag. Like AirPods, those are pretty expensive for what they, for accessories, and those sell so many. An Apple Watch that are cheaper than AirPods, that would just sell out.
That put Fitbit and Amazon out of business alongside Garmin.
Yeah, I was looking at the Garmin watches a few days ago. They seem really nice build quality wise. I don't know how good the OS would be.
I would not recommend getting a Garmin because they're owned by Google, and so you know what they can do with the health data.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to buy any alternative watch, I'm probably going to buy a Pixel watch because, if they want to sell my data to some insurance company, the insurance company's not even going to know my name. I've never had my real name on any document from Google.
Unfortunately, I have my real name on my Google account, so I can't.
Yeah.
Or I have Teddy Maggart on my Google account name, but I'm sure they could easily figure out what my official name is.
Yeah, Google probably has a file on almost everyone, just like Facebook does.
Well, Meta now, but yeah.
Yeah, same thing.
Oh, so on yesterday, Windows 8.1 officially lost support from Microsoft.
I heard actually, and I saw the news. With Windows 7, I saw the news. I was like, oh man, I wanted to use Windows 7. Windows 8.1, I saw the news. I thought, who's going to be using Windows 8 in 2023? Whatever year it is. Yeah, 2023.
No one.
Like, if you're still using Windows 8, what are you doing? Why are you using that? I mean, I get some people prefer Windows 8 and all, or older versions of Windows, but like, just use Windows 10 if you're gonna use it. Anyways, I'm gonna install Windows 8 on an old junk laptop and see how bad it is.
I have a Windows 8.1 all-in-one desktop right over there, and I did a retrospective on it right before it lost support. And Windows 8.1, because I remember playing with it a lot on my mom's old Sony Vaio laptop, it gives me a lot of nostalgia. Even more nostalgia than Windows 7 in some cases.
Yeah, I think Michael MJD did a video on it.
Yes, he did.
If you know who that is. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I'm subscribed to him, and I sometimes watch his videos.
I think his videos are great.
So do I. However, oftentimes I just don't have time to watch his videos, so...
Yeah.
Or I'm not interested, so, however, sometimes we'll just go back on his videos.
Yeah. I might try to install 8.1 on a MacBook Pro and see how good that is. I don't know. A lot of my Windows laptops kind of suck.
Yeah, same here.
I have like two pretty good modern Windows laptops. I have a ton of vintage ones. Like, they're not really vintage, but retro, I guess, like 2000 era, like 2000 to 2007.
Alright, now I've got the best news that we've ever heard on this podcast.
What is it?
It's about the Jewish hacker.
What happened to him?
So he admitted something in his when he was texting me a little while ago, and now he suddenly makes so much sense.
What did he say?
He's a 15-year-old midget, supposedly, even though I believe he's more like 10, who has many associates working for him.
He's a what?
Midget, or he's very short.
What? That is the weirdest news I've heard all day.
Yeah, he said he's 4 foot. He said, hang on, let me go back on my text. He is 4'9".
I don't know if that classifies as... Well, I don't know what that classifies as, but I'm sure you're right.
He's 15. He's 15, though, so maybe that does. That probably...
So, you're like 1.5 feet taller than this guy, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're way taller than that dude.
Yeah, I even said that I was taller than him, even though I just figured I would be a few inches taller than him, not...
What else did he say?
Oh, he said that he says that he has a lot of associates working for him ranging from age 18 to 42, and some of them are Rakesh, who we all know, and Mike, who we all know.
I see. Yeah, well, he's an interesting guy. You know,
he's interesting, but we don't want anything to do with him, even though we sadly do. Yeah. Hey, I wonder if the Jewish hacker is bugging Alpha right now, because this is usually when we record our podcast.
I'm sure.
Let me ask Alpha that, actually. Is the Jewish hacker trolling you tonight?
Yeah, you want to know something funny that happened directly after I got that text? Yeah, guess who showed up? Thanks for sending him my way, Teddy. Nothing against you, but I mean, come on. Seriously?
And he hasn't responded. Alpha hasn't responded to that text yet, so we'll just wait for him to get back.
Yeah.
Alright, so for the 11th and final topic on my podcast episode, You remember that thing that happened that made me reconsider whether I will buy a new Apple Watch or not?
Yeah. Your
Well,
middle school's like messing with the policies, I guess.
yep, they banned Apple Watches entirely now.
What are you gonna end up doing?
I don't know. You can technically bring an Apple Watch to school, but it has to be in your backpack and completely powered down, just like your phone.
Well, aren't you going to switch schools again late this
Yes, I
year?
am. I'm going to high school, which again, and I'll check if my high school allows Apple Watches or not. Because if my high school allows Apple Watches, then then obviously an Apple Watch Ultra will be worth it.
You know, like I mean, I'd say yeah. If your high school allows it, then absolutely.
However, however, that still doesn't change the fact that my school seriously doesn't understand this. You want to hear what the BS behind that new policy?
What is it?
Alpha responded to me, but I'll finish this and then we'll get back. Okay.
All right.
Okay, so their reasoning is that you can text on an Apple Watch. However, what they don't know is that most kids don't even have cellular Apple Watches that are able to text without their phones being off and in their lockers.
Yeah.
Which if they're turned on, that's already a violation.
Yeah.
And a couple of kids in my school were calling each other on their Apple Watches. So that's why they banned them.
Yeah.
And if you might be... And again, unlike the last time where they just sort of petered out the rule about the Apple Watches having to be completely powered down, now the rule is that you can get ISS if you get caught wearing an Apple Watch.
That makes no sense at all. You know, like just if the people are texting in class, whatever. What does it matter? Just let
Actually, it does matter because kids
if
are
they're getting a bad education, that's their problem.
that. However, kids aren't focusing in class, so they're distracting, so they're not putting their effort into it. However, I do agree. However, a lot of kids weren't texting in class.
They're not going to focus at all. It doesn't matter if you take away a phone or a watch or whatever. If they're not going to focus, then they just don't care. They're just not going to do.
And another thing is that at least it won't be as distracting as kids who actually do their work. Even if they are texting on their Apple Watches in class.
I don't know. It just seems like something they just want to put more rules down, I guess. I don't.
Yeah, they banned AirPods. They banned AirPods back in November too.
I mean, that makes more sense than banning a watch, in my opinion, at least.
Yes, because how is my school really going to be able to continue My school is going to have to seriously go. How is my school going to be able to continue enforcing the Apple Watch policy? I'm just curious because let's say the kids keep getting ISS and ISS. They can't technically force them to take their Apple Watches off unless the cops get involved. And I don't know if it's legal for the cops to get involved in something as stupid as that.
Like, I mean, maybe... Well, I kind of, do think... It's weird. Part of me thinks, the police... Or they can just get the kids banned off the property. But another part of me thinks, would they really do that? But I just think they would do as much as they can to screw up the kids' grades and all. And I think that's probably what's, because what's stopping someone from doing anything in school, really? You can't stop a kid from going around throwing pencils in the air, throwing pencils at other kids and stuff.
Actually, that doesn't...
I guess.
Yes, and just today in school, one kid this is actually, luckily I'm okay from this, but there was one kid who hit me with his binder.
On purpose?
Yep. Or
I wasn't allowed to
accidentally.
hit you with a binder.
I don't ask, and unfortunately my teacher didn't see that.
Yeah, when I was in public school, I had kids throwing pencils at me. One kid threw a Sharpie at me, and I got mad. I got really mad.
Luckily kids don't usually try to harm me that much because I'm one of the tallest ones in there, so it's not like they really want to mess with me, but there are still a few kids who want to try to mess with me.
Yeah, why? I don't get it.
Because they're stupid.
Yeah. For whatever reason, my dad's dogs are barking even though I'm home alone. What's going on?
Something. It's really windy
Nobody's
outside my
intruding in
house.
Hopefully no one's intruding in my house. That would be bad.
I think you'd hear a lot more activity if somebody was intruding your house.
Hmm.
And they also wouldn't if they saw, wait a minute, did you leave any lights on upstairs?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the kitchen lights are on, but I don't know. I mean, we have cameras, and the cameras haven't picked anything up, so I don't know. That dog's probably just geeking out.
My dogs like to bark at everything
Dogs like to
too.
geek out.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to refer to it as. By the way, I got a response back from Alpha, and he has been bothered by a Jewish hacker, but a few days ago. But the Jewish hacker has not been bothering Alpha tonight.
Yeah, he doesn't really seem to be messing with anyone while recording anymore, actually.
Yeah, it's a
I
noticeable
remember I was recording a
improvement.
video. I was trying to get footage from my Apple Watch, and the dude kept calling me, screaming at me, this and that, all these.
And remember that.
The
And
kid's
remember,
an idiot. I know who the kid is. Kid's just an idiot.
he even said that. Elias gave me his real Instagram, and I told the Jewish hacker when he texted me what his Instagram was, and he's like, impossible. There's no way you got my Instagram.
Oh, nice.
And then he suspiciously deleted his account.
Wow. You gotta send me that in private messages later.
Well, the account no
His
longer
previous
exists, but
account.
you can just ask Elias about that because because I got it from Elias.
Yeah. For sure.
Well, is there anything else
See a
you?
cat in the background.
Yep.
I think I saw that cat in one of your videos a few days ago.
Yeah. Yes. Mike was just featured in my video yesterday,
I guess that was the video it was.
or on Thursday, Tuesday, but yeah. Is there anything else you want to talk about on this podcast?
Not really. I think we're good for today.
I also think that too. All right, let's roll the outro. As always, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the iTunes Fanboy Podcast. We hope you enjoyed listening to it. As always, I am Teddy from the iTunes Fanboy.
I'm Tabbycat406.
And as always, we are signing off for now.